Hopefully this video is a reinforcement for people who have seen the parts live and in person inside the actual computers, as well as for those people who maybe need the repetition or maybe were absent when the presentation hands-on was given. And in this particular video, I'm associating it with two exercises I have where you're looking at both the names of the parts when you see them in picture form visually and the function of them. So I'll go through each of these with you. Slow down the video or stop it or pause or rewind as necessary. I'll go through these slides in order as soon as I can advance it. Here we go. See if this works. There we go. And I'll see if it will let me do this in a little larger form here. There we go. Let's try this way. Yeah, if the slides do not advance automatically, I'll go like this. When you're actually looking at this slide, I'm looking at the actual cords right here, not the holes that you put them in. So if you're charging your cell phone or charging your iPad or iPod or something like that, I'm sorry, the actual cords themselves are referred to as connectors. And really, as I said before, these are not the holes. These are actually the plugs and cords that join into the computer. You actually plug a cord or a connector into what we call a port. So the actual plugs right here that attach to your phone or your digital camera are referred to as connectors. The entire case that holds the computer, whether it's a small laptop or whether it is a smaller tablet computer, the casing, usually plastic, is referred to as the system unit. Basically, it's just the container that holds all the computer components. Sometimes it's metal, more often than not it's usually plastic. If you're using a smaller input device in your hand, like a pen or pencil, where you're tapping a phone, a smartphone, or a tablet to draw or to move something around, this is referred to as a stylus, S-T-Y-L-U-S. This is the more common memory now. We don't typically see floppy disks anymore, although hard drives are still there because of their storage capacity. But if you want something more portable, you can refer to either the flash memory, which is in a lot of digital cameras and some smartphones that are over on the left, and then the flash drive, sometimes called a thumb drive or a jump drive, over on the right. They have pretty good capacity. They even have wristbands and watches and stuff now where you can put them on and carry them around. Again, the advantage is portability. The downside, of course, is that they can be easily bent and damaged. So cloud memory, which we'll talk about in another video, is an even more relevant type of memory now compared to these, but still they're handy. The actual slots, if you're going to take a computer and you're going to install a floppy disk drive for whatever reason, or a hard drive, or a CD, DVD player for playing movies and videos and stuff, the actual slots where they go inside the computer are referred to as bays, B-A-Y-S, each one of these. So this computer, an older one, has several bays, these little plastic rectangle shapes that are on there. This particular port, the hole where something's plugged in, this is the one for the power supply, which I hope would be pretty self-explanatory because of the three pieces inside it. A special microphone that a lot of people use, whether they're recording, especially if they want to move around without the wires traveling along the floor and possibly having someone trip over them or have some kind of accident. These are referred to as lavaliers, and they're used especially where you want to record something and you want to have the freedom to move around. So maybe if I'm recording a lecture like this on video, as I'm doing the presentation live, I can use that lavalier and have that mobility where I can walk around. They're usually pinned to the top of a shirt or sweater where the voice is closer to the microphone. The largest chip inside the computer, the one that really is the boss, the principal, the CEO, the president of the computer, is referred to as the central processing unit, CPU for short. It's a chip, the largest chip, and basically it controls all the operations. It's the brain of the computer, controls everything that goes on and where everything travels. Like, you can think of a chief of police, a traffic cop that regulates everything. It's so active that literally that CPU chip in this previous slide, has to be covered by something called a heat sink or heat fan. Think of being at the beach in the sun and you want to have a fan literally blowing in your face to keep you cool. This keeps the computer literally from burning up. So it's called a heat sink or a heat fan and lies on top of the CPU, which is underneath all that. The entire thing, as I call it right here, the heart of the computer, as far as the main circuit board, is referred to as the motherboard. Think of the mother and having all the little puppies or kittens that basically feed off of it. And the motherboard basically drives the computer. While you have the CPU brain that runs the operations, the CPU chip, the memory chips, all the expansion parts, the ports and connectors all lie on this flat piece called a motherboard. It's the main circuit board that's inside the computer. On that motherboard are memory chips. You've heard of the word RAM, random access memory. When you turn on a computer and you download something from the internet, when you're using Microsoft Word, when you're playing a game, as long as there's activity going on, these temporary storage areas called RAM chips are in the computer. And of course, the more sticks you have, they don't come individually like the CPU does, but they come in sticks. Sometimes you have chips on both sides and sometimes on one side of it. And you're seeing a bunch of memory right here where I have the arrows pointed to it. And once the computer is turned off, then the memory in these chips, or once the software is closed, if you exit out of Word or exit out of the game, then that memory is temporary and it's erased so that another program can be loaded. Think of it as like a marker board or a chalkboard, where once it's erased, it's gone unless it's been stored somewhere. Speaking of storage, if you want to record this information permanently instead of temporary, it would be done on like a flash drive, or in this case, a hard disk. The disk almost looks like a phonograph record from the old days with that little device along the side. I'm gonna escape from here and see if I can get the actual pin here where I can mark it for you. See if I can, if the video will allow me to do this. There's a little needle right here. Maybe you can see it, and it actually reads the information from the hard drive. You can think of this as being stored in little concentric circles along here. This is a portable one right here, where it can be carried around, while the one right here stays inside the computer. My writing is going to be horrific right here. This stays inside the computer, and this one is more portable. Sorry for the handwriting, I'm having to do this really rapidly. To add extra features to computers, most of which now are already built in, we have something called expansion cards. The card could be for additional video capability. It could be for network connectivity to other computers, and those are called expansion cards because they're sort of shaped like a playing card. So the actual card was right there. Those cards go inside these little slots. So the expansion slots are where the cards are stuck in. They're the places where the cards go, and of course these are all located on the motherboard. And on this particular motherboard, you of course can see in perspective, there's your CPU right there. These are your expansion slots where the cards go. So these are actually the slots right here. And again, this whole thing is called the motherboard. Go back to the slideshow, and again, I hope this is helping you out if you need the additional help. And when information, whether it's text or numbers or pictures and stuff, downloaded and uploaded to and from the internet or to your Dropbox, the path or the highway through which the information travels are on all these cards. They're all over the motherboard, and these little yellow lines or green looking lines are referred to by the term buses. You would think the bus would be the vehicle that was used right here for traveling, but it's actually the actual pathways. These little pathways right here are all over the motherboard. Now, May can pull one back here where you can actually see it. I'm not sure if you can see it up close or not. It's a little hard to see them from these particular slides. I'm going to see if I can make this a little bit larger and hope I'm not freaking you out with this on the computer. But the little paths, if you could look at these, are actually right along here. Here's some yellow ones right here. It's very hard to see them without actually having the motherboard directly in front of you versus on a video like this. These are particular ports. Again, the holes where the plugs connect, the connectors actually go in, are called ports. So think of the word port and the word hole if you want to think of it that way. The holes are the same thing. Some of the ports are for multimedia. These are for multimedia right here. Multimedia basically referring to anything involving video, audio, headphones, speakers, stuff like that. If you're transporting data, then you're dealing with the other kind of port. They're called connectivity and data transport. If I'm getting information going back and forth through a printer or through like if I'm connecting my computer to a TV screen, I might use something called an HDMI port. USB ports, for example, where I connect information so that my video or digital camera pictures go to the computer. So anytime I'm transferring data or connecting to a network, those are connectivity ports. If I'm actually using it for purposes of listening or recording, like you do when you say, can I listen to music or can I record something, then I'm dealing with multimedia ports. And I hope that doesn't confuse anyone. And here are some examples. Again, these particular ports right here would be, I'm sorry about that, these particular ports right here are referred to as the connectivity ports in this case. So the multimedia ports, again, just to not confuse you, the multimedia ports, I'll erase this, the multimedia ports would be these guys, because I'm dealing with TV, audio, video. Again, the giveaway here, and I apologize if I messed you up. This is this is the audio video right here. This is HDMI, which is again with TV. So think of these as multimedia. Think of these guys right here as connectivity and data transfer back and forth between networks and on the internet. This is a little webcam, a web camera, which allows you to, sometimes they're built into the laptop computers now and into like your iPads and stuff, and sometimes they're actually mounted on top of the screen, and you can record and have the picture there, or if you're Skyping and talking to someone electronically, visually, video wise on a phone like with Skype, you can use this little webcam to show your pictures to each other. And that's the end of the slides, and I hope these functions and these pictures together will help you with the eventual worksheets that you'll be getting. Okay? Again, contact me if you have questions.